David Fowler is a walking history book, overseeing properties for the Oklahoma Historical Society, ensuring that our history is preserved and shared with the masses.
Living history is a preservation of something from our past. It's a skill or a trade or a way of doing something. To be a Cherokee and to be able to be a Cherokee historian, not just someone who tells history of the Cherokee, is probably my proudest thing that I can do. My name is David Fowler. I am the Northeast Regional Director for the Oklahoma Historical Society. I administer to 4 historic sites in Northeast Oklahoma. Fort Gibson Historic Site, Hunter's Home Historic Site, which is in Park Hill, Oklahoma, Pawnee Bill Ranch, which is in Pawnee, Oklahoma, and Cabin Creek Battlefield, which is in Pensacola, Oklahoma. I grew up in a small town in southeast Kansas called Altamont. I spent my summers with my grandparents in Veneta, Oklahoma. My grandfather was in the American Legion, and so I would sit around and listen to all those old veterans talk about World War II, and it kind of inspired me as a young kid to learn a little more about our history. I have a bachelor's degree in history from Northeastern State University. I was kind of a non-traditional student. I had been out of high school almost 10 years before I decided to go to college. And I came across a reenacting group that was out of Rogers State University there in Claremore, Oklahoma. I kind of hooked up with them. From there, I kind of found my way over to the historic site at Fort Gibson. Decided that was what I wanted to do. I was always planning on being a teacher of some sort. I found the best classroom in the world, which is on a historic site. I came to Hunter's Home as the site director in 2008. As a regional director, I have to wear kind of 2 hats. I take care of a region and make sure that everything is flowing good, the programs are happening, but then I also have to serve as a site director on a daily basis at Hunter's Home. So it can be a little challenging, but I love my job and wouldn't trade it for anything. So at Hunter's Home, we focus on the mid-19th century, which is from the 1850s to shortly after the American Civil War in 1868. I love sharing Cherokee history, because sometimes it's really kind of neat because you get to set a record straight. You get to open their eyes, and some of them you can see instantly they're starting to go, wow, this is really not what I thought I was going to get when I came to Park Hill. I remember one time I picked up an article and I was reading through it, and it made a mention that there was no large-scale farming in Indian Territory prior to statehood or the opening of the lands out in the west in what would be Oklahoma. And I thought, that's just really not true. We know that there were all kinds of agricultural endeavors that were going on within Cherokee Nation prior to that time. One of our goals here at Hunter's Home in Park Hill, we would like to see this become a working farm like it was in the 19th century. We have a small kitchen garden. We have about an acre cornfield, and of course now we've introduced sheep, and we always have poultry. My favorite part of my job, and if I could do it a little bit more often, is definitely being able to dress out, put my 19th century clothing on, and work the farm at Hunter's Home. I love doing that. I like having my hands in the dirt. There's not a better feeling in the world to have 2 draft animals in front of you and breaking dirt with a horse-drawn plow, and seeing that fold over and the smell of it, to go out, work the cornfield and smell corn as it's growing. And then being able to take all of this that you're growing and bring it back into a place like we do at the cabin here, and cook something out of that or preserve that. I'm making this connection with what my ancestors did. They farmed small plots, they were agrarian. I love to cook over the open fire, and I like to feed people. Even in the modern world, it's something I get from my mom and my grandmother. It's just food, eat this, So the dish that I prepared today is hominy and pork. This is a traditional dish that you would see that kind of takes hold once hogs make their way into Cherokee Nation. It's amazing at how, really good, corn and pork, marry up together. And, you can make a lot of incredible dishes with the two of them, together. I like to learn by doing things, and, I like to teach in that same fashion.
Working with Dave was never boring. If we're traveling to a conference or something like that. The man is a walking encyclopedia. And so if you are riding in the vehicle with him, going from Tahlequah to Arkansas, for example, he will point out where every single building that has ever been in the history of the state of Oklahoma or Arkansas is.
I gather most of my information really not from reading, although I do read. I have to read it over and over again, but I collect it through listening. A lot more. I remember one time Hastings Shade walked into a classroom when I was in college, and he said, shut your books, I'm gonna tell you a story. And so he made everybody shut our books, and we couldn't write any notes. And to me, I was like, okay, I like this. This I can, because I can collect that, and I can take that back with me. My brain works in that fashion. And if you're locked in the vehicle with me, I'm sorry, I'm gonna lay it all on you. So.
Dave has an excellent imagination, and so whenever he envisions a program or a topic of study that he's interested in, he goes whole hog. He's extremely passionate about the things that he discusses. History is extremely important to him, and so because of that, you can see that passion come out, and I think that commitment to history and that commitment to putting in the work to learn about that history and every aspect of it, I think that's what makes him a great historian.
I think it's important that everybody that comes here takes that, our correct Cherokee history away with them. And the United States is built off of nations that are already here. To me, it's paramount that we tell Cherokee history because it is Oklahoma history and it is American history. We've had everything from educational programming where we'll have students, school buses that will come down. We take care of a lot of tours that come from us from Cherokee Nation cultural tourism. So one year, this little girl came out, and she'd spent probably 2 hours just asking me 5,000 questions. Question after question after question. And so, she got up and she walked off, and she reached out, she picked up something, and she started walking back towards me. And so she had this big dried sycamore leaf, and she goes, "Here, I wanted to give this to you because you were nice." Hopefully she'll remember that and go, you know what, history was a cool thing because, I talked to a fun guy. I take what I do very seriously, but I also love it and I have fun. What's the point in having your dream job if you don't enjoy it every day when you get up? I hope that I'm always a historian until the day they put me in the ground, and I love to teach and don't want to stop.